Good morning. I'm going to show you this project. This is my coronavirus project. I am in the middle of building the world's smallest wood shop, although it might not be the actual smallest. It's only 190 square feet, 10 foot deep, 19 feet wide, and that's the exterior dimension. So inside I've got a little less space than that. This was a lean-to that was built off the back of the building that you can see behind us here. That's the man cave. It's gonna be really cool, but that's a project for another day. Last weekend, I got this part framed out and built. Weekend before, I put the new rafter tails up here to extend out to build what is going to be a storage shed that is essentially a lean-to off of the lean-to, place to put garden tools, potting soil, that sort of thing. But it also has another really neat purpose. That's what I'm getting ready to show you. Because my shop is so small, I needed room for my miter saw, and that's what we're going to be working on today. We'll go inside and I'll show you what's up with that. Okay, here we are inside of world's tiniest wood shop, and as you can see, it really is not all that big. In fact, I am standing here, I'm touching the far wall. The camera's right on it, so there's from this point there's about a foot behind you. Goes all the way this way. Here's the touching the wall here. Of course, you can see the wall here. Short ceiling, so design on this space is critical. And one of the things that I wanted to have was a chop saw, miter saw, 12-inch, big capacity. I wanted to be able to cut anything that I wanted to be able to cut. But the problem I've got is that this saw, when fully extended back from the rear of it to the front of it, is 54 inches. The shop is 9 feet wide, so it's a little more than 4 feet, and that's just too big. That's a problem because my table saw, I've got my little saw over here now, but my big table saw is coming. It is also about 3 feet wide, 3.5 feet wide maybe. So between the two, I would not be able to get to the far side of the shop. So that is what we're going to work on today. This wood that you see here, with this header in the top, I put that in last weekend. That's the plywood that you can see on the outside. It's the back of the storage shed for the lawn equipment, etc. But it's going to have another function. It's getting ready to have a hole cut in it with a box. And inside of that box, the miter saw will slide back into it. And it's going to work out so that rather than needing 54 inches along this wall, I'm only going to need about 19 inches. And that will give me a very narrow bench running down this side of the shop, so as not to take up quite so much space. So that is today's project. And also, a neat thing about it, if it all comes together perfectly, this is going to facilitate dust collection on that saw, which is a dust monster, because most of the saw is actually going to be exterior to the shop, housed on the outside in that shed, and that's going to allow me to put a hose for the dust deputy under it and collect that dust. So I'd like to think that I was both talented and skilled enough that watching me build this would be entertaining. I promise it won't be, so I'm going to build it, put the saw in it, and then I'll be back to kind of show you how it works. Right, so we've got the rear, the holes cut so that the rear now extends out past the tiny shop wall. You get the idea that this will be able to pass through and allow me to back the saw up further and make this bench here as shallow as possible. So still got to frame it in, but that's the idea. We'll finish her up. All right, had a minor hitching to get along, but I've got it installed temporarily here, and you can see that I've got full range of motion and plenty of room to move around. Rather than 54 inches out from the wall, we actually ended up at 19.25, and that's all the way out to the handle here. So my bench is only going to be about 15 inches, which will give me adequate support. And when I box this outside in, we'll have a good spot to collect dust and make this thing a lot more usable. Okay, here's what we look like from the outside. Got room for the saw to move. All of this has got to get boxed in, trimmed out, and become some reasonable part of the storage space so that it doesn't look too goofy. But I don't really care about that too much. This is all about function. Here we are outside. This is where the storage shed for garden tools, etc., etc. goes. So I've started the shelves on the right-hand side, and you can see this is the top part of the chop saw station where the motor is. This is where the rails are housed. This is a plywood bottom where the dust collection will ultimately come through, penetrate the wall here, and connect to the bottom to collect the dust from the saw. So pretty pleased with this. We'll go inside and I'll show you how it finished up. All right, here we go. So all of the rough framing's done. Still have to trim it out, etc. I'll get to that when I install the wall and the electrical and everything else that's got to happen in here. But I'm really excited. I think I've got a good space to contain all of the dust. I still have to manufacture or make or install something to rest in the bottom of that plywood that's conical shape that will attach to the hose to collect the dust, but I will get to that. That piece of plywood is totally removable, so that part can come. Here's what I'm excited about though. The purpose of this project, dust collection was a benefit, like an extra, gravy if you will, but the purpose was to get this saw out of the way. So I was going to need 54 inches from the wall out to here in order to accommodate the saw. Now I'm down to 19 inches to here, but what I did not even think about that is so awesome, when I'm not using this saw, I turn it, it is completely behind this temporary shelf that I've installed to approximate the bench, and this shelf is only 11 inches deep. So I've taken 54 inches and I'm down to 11 inches when it's not in use. So I am pretty happy about that, and I'll post a final video, probably be a couple of months before I've got it totally done, but I'll post a final video then, and hope you enjoyed. See you later. All right, here's what we look like from outside. Ow! Good God, I just pinched my finger. Let's try that again.